It is time for the annual Choose Your Legends tier list, and it wouldn't be a tier list without the homie Tacho.
Hey homies, what's good? It's your boy here, and we back doing another tier list for Choose Your Legends.
Exactly, yeah, we're jumping in, gonna go through all the Choose Your Legend units, but there's a lot now. So in this tier list, we're gonna be making all 28 Brave Heroes. I cannot believe there's 28 now, from D to triple S. In my tier list, I will be not considering arcane weapons, but in Tacho's, he will be considering them in the tier list. So the bottom of our tier list might look a little bit different. We're also going to be starting off with Choose Your Legends 1, and then we'll be making our way to Choose Your Legends 7. But we're going to save Choose Your Legends 5 last, because that's going to be the most spicy one, I think.
Yeah, we just got the refines for them, so technically they are the most recent, if you want to count it that way.
So we're going to start off with the tier list from the very beginning with Brave Lucina. So where do you have Brave Lucina, Tacho?
Okay, I have Brave Lucina as a solid C tier, and like you said, arcane weapons did play a role in my tier list. Now, there were only really 2 units that I think benefited from the arcane weapons, and Lucina is one of them. So you give her Arcane Lewin, and she's literally just a God Lance. And she's actually on par with Summer Norn, who is like the only free-to-play God Lance we have. So just the fact that Lucina can match that Norn, I think, is already giving her some big credibility. As you know, God Swords are everywhere, so if you've got color advantage on them with your own God unit, that's pretty good. And you can just run the basic build on her, like distant attack speed solo, close call 4, like times pulse 4, whatever you want. Give her Arcane Lewin, and she should be good to go. So I think she is a solid C.
Yeah, I think Arcane Lewin is, like, in my opinion, the best arcane weapon we've gotten. It's so strong, and Lucina definitely uses it really well.
Yeah, it's not even close. Like, that weapon could have been a perf weapon on a unit, and I wouldn't be
exactly, yeah. So for me, I'm not considering the Arcane Lewin. I'm just considering base Brave Lucina with her. I don't know how to pronounce that weapon, but the breath of Drive Breath, right? And I have her down in C. Last year, I had her in A tier, but the thing is that, oh man, they have handed out that like breath special cooldown effect to everybody, right? We got Hinoka with it now.
Yep.
We even have attack speed pledge, which is just a C skill you can inherit, and that has it on it. And so the value of Lucina has definitely like plummeted in my opinion. The only reason why I don't have her in D tier is just because she can give out like plus 10 to like multiple stats, which is useful, but like it's definitely outclassed.
Right, and her drive is only to 2 spaces, and it's only to physical damaging weapon type. So it's very heavily limited on what you can actually support.
Right, that's my biggest problem with her. It kind of sucks because I love Lucina. I love Choose Your Legends 1, like in total a lot, but you know, the meta has just shifted so hard.
I mean, Choose Your Legends 1, literally, those are the most popular characters because they won the first voting.
Right, exactly. Okay, let's move on to our next Choose Your Legends winner, place 2. We're going to go to Brave Roy. And for me, I have Brave Roy without the arcane weapon. I have him in D tier, which hurts because I love Brave Roy. I think he has some of the best art in the game. But like, man, have Cavs like gone insane this past year. Like the fact that we had like, you know, Brave Seliph, T Ira, Summer Shez, Summer Ephraim. Like we have so many. It's like base Brave Roy just does not compete with those units. So I have to put him in D, which really sucks.
Yeah, now, I mean, well, all you have to do is give him the Arcane Sword.
Exactly,
right?
exactly.
So I'm considering Roy here with Arcane Devourer. So that would give him the special acceleration, give him -1 special cooldown count, and also all stats up 5, null follow-up, and 40% DR on the first hit. So it's certainly more serviceable than his base weapon.
Oh yeah, it's a good weapon.
And then on top of that, and then you give him like Flared Sparrow, you give him Alarm Attack Speed, you give him Flow Desperation, and he's cooking, right? Like, he can actually get away with it. So I mean, even though he's the other unit, by the way, that arcane weapons actually mattered for, the rest of the units don't really matter too much with the arcane weapons, but Lucina and Roy, I think, get a significant buff by having Lewin and also Devourer. Yeah,
I completely agree. And those are the 2 units I have arcane weapons on, so I completely agree. I love using them. The fact that I can actually use my Gen 1 units and they're actually like, you know, viable is really nice.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to our next placement. Let's go to Brave Lyn. Where do you got Brave Lyn at?
Okay, I have Brave Lyn in D tier. Now, you could give her Arcane Darkbow, I guess, but like that's not really helping her much. No. There's just no helping this unit, unfortunately. Her speed stat just aged like milk, pretty much. She's just expired. She's past her prime. Yeah, so I mean, the idea I would think is like Fire Sweep Bow, and then give her like Flared Sparrow, Poison Strike, Savage Blow, Poison Strike.
That is a lot of chip damage.
That's probably that's like probably the only thing she can contribute.
Right. Yeah, I completely agree. I have her in D tier too. And the thing is with the Arcane Dark Bow is like you don't have a way to get Deadeye off because they don't give Flash Sparrow to Cavs for some reason. So like I just think it really sucks. But like Brave Lynn I don't think there's like a really optimal build you can put her in on where she's going to be better, especially compared to like the crazy stuff we have nowadays with like Summer Shamir and stuff.
Yeah.
It kind of sucks to see her down there, especially because Brave Lynn was like the most dominant. Her and Reinhardt were the most dominant units in year 1. So
yeah, I mean, also it was like Lynn and Veronica were like so devastating because we had no answer to Fire
exactly.
Sweep.
Yeah,
like a long time ago.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Okay, and then we're gonna move on to True Legends 1 winner for males. We have Brave Ike. Where do you got Brave Ike at?
Okay, so I mean, Oblivion had to like give pity to Ephraim and Ike here. So on my side of the tier list, I actually went as far down as an E tier, and I had Ike in the E tier. I just think he's miserable, man. He's just not what he used to be. If you look at the new Fuga that we got, like the Tempest Trial Fuga, I feel like that unit is just better than Ike. You can do every single build you could give to Ike, you could just give to that Fuga and he'd be better. And that Fuga is not even that good of a unit either.
Right.
So like just put that into perspective, like where Ike would end up on this list.
For me, I put Ike in C tier, and like Ike has definitely fallen off. Last year I had him in A tier, right? That's a big drop. The thing is like in this past year alone, we got access to like Special Spiral 4. We got access to Physical No Fault, Magic No Fault. So like, Ike just has no way to survive any like competent nuke nowadays. So like, the reason why I have him in C tier though is because I think if you go like a full melee build, he can do better there. He still isn't amazing, but he can melee take to an extent just because not a lot of melee units have DR piercing. It is available now, but it's still not like super common yet. But by next year, I think like Ike's gonna just be kind of ripped. Like the thing is too is like his weapon doesn't have any stats in it, which is like crazy because you like look at like a Lear, and Lear gets like plus 60 to all stats in her weapon, and Ike gets 0. Like how's that fair?
Yeah, I mean, this was back in a time where remember when this guy got his refine? He was like the ideal refine. Everyone wished they had a refine as good as his back in the day, and now it's like, I mean, dude, it's you read his refine, it's one sentence. Like compared to what we have now.
Oh man, that's sad too. When you can actually think about that, like the amount of power creep there is, like it goes from like one line to being like Yu-Gi-Oh text. It's like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to Choose Your Legends 2. Let's start off with the female second place, Veronica. I got her down in D tier. I think Veronica has just fallen off completely. Her weapon just doesn't do anything really nowadays, and also there's no arcane staff to even save her with that. So it's really rough to be Veronica at the moment, and I just don't think she's like. I think you're better off running like a demote over Veronica at this point.
Yeah, pretty much. There is one saving grace though. It's that staff units have gotten a lot of good skills lately. Yeah, definitely. So we've got like new specials for them, like Holy Panic and Holy Pressure, and then we got essentially Razzle Dazzle 4. Yeah. So like those are good skills too. And particularly on Veronica, I think she has the Dazzling Staff built into her weapon, so she can run, what is it, Poetic Justice?
Yes.
Which is probably better for her being a Cav, because she doesn't necessarily want to jump. Although, I mean, with Dazzling Shift, there are, like, you could jump her onto a trench tile, which could be helpful. But, like, for the most part, the added damage from Wrathful or Poetic Justice is a little better for Cavs.
I agree, so, I think I honestly like that one better. Like, more than...
Yeah, me too.
Like, you can't really underestimate that much damage.
Right. Yeah, so, like, at least she's got that going for her, but... her weapon is just a wash. There's not really much you can do with that.
They definitely punished her like they did with Lynn. We're like, you're too good. We're going to give you a crap refine. And definitely shows. Definitely shows. Okay, so CYL2 male loser, or second place, is going to be Ephraim. Where you got Ephraim at?
Okay, I also have him in E tier alongside Ike. I think he's just the worst. There's not really much you can do about him. I remember even when Choose Your Legends 2 came out, because... at the time, I was like summoning for every Choose Your Legends hero. I just wanted like one copy of each because they were so cool. Right. And I remember I missed out on him, and I didn't even care. I was like, oh, okay. I mean, I didn't get this guy, but you know what? I kind of just don't even want him. So I was fine with my Hector, my Micaiah, and my Camilla.
Right.
And still to this day, I don't have that Ephraim, by the way.
Wait, really? You never got him from like a...
Yeah,
wow, that's crazy.
Nope, not once.
So for me, I got him... I have Ephraim as the worst unit. Like the worst Choose Your Legends unit at the moment. I think you have Ike below Ephraim. But for me, like... Ephraim's weapon just does nothing. Like, you get, like, offensive no follow-up, some stats, and healing, and it's, like, on an armor, man, that is not good. And also, when you consider, like, he's green, which is a terrible place in the meta right now, and also we have a whole bunch of free green armors. Like, one of them, I can't remember which one, has, like, built-in distant counter in his weapon, plus stats and stuff. Like, it's already better than, like, Ephraim. Like... Oh,
Murdoch?
I think it's, Murdoch, yeah. So I'm like... I don't know, like, I think Ephraim is just completely useless. You're just better off using almost any other unit as a save over Ephraim, which sucks, but, like, he's just not very good.
Yeah, I mean, that's even if you're running a save unit at all, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, like, that just puts it even to more perspective there.
Yeah, he's not doing too well. Speaking of not doing too well, next up is going to be Brave Celica. I got her in C tier. The thing with Brave Celica, my problem with her is that her unique niche, the cool thing about her is being able to have that Brave weapon, right? But it's tied to her B slot. And that's really bad because that's like where you want to put like Special Spiral 4, like Physical No Fault, all the things that are going to let her like actually do damage. And so you can't put those skills on her. And then she also has built-in healing. So if you try to use her as a Gale Forcer, she heals out of Gale Force range. And if you try to use her as like a follow-up unit, then you have Wings of Mercy in her B slot and she can't do the Brave attack. So like there's just nowhere to really use the Celica, like other than like maybe Arena Assault. You can kill some squishy stuff. So I just don't think she's that great. I mean, you could give her like a complete overhaul and give her like the arcane weapon and stuff, but then at that point, like, I don't know, what's the point? You have like just any other god sword.
I got her in D tier. Like the one cool thing I guess that she can do that's pretty rare is she can Gale Force in resonant battles.
Right. That's true. That's true.
But like who even cares about that? Like, is that a big deal?
Exactly.
Like, that's not even that big a deal.
No, yeah. It's really sad too because it was really cool when she came out, like having that Brave weapon. But like,
yeah, no. The thing that I really like about her is the art, though. It's so retro.
Yes,
I love it.
Yes, I do love that. They like really went. That's like one of the coolest things about Echoes is that they has like the base FE2 you can like kind of take like inspiration from, which is nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so next up is the one and only, the legend himself, Brave Hector. And then last year I had Brave Hector as the best Choose Your Legends unit. I think you did too. So how are you feeling about him now?
I might have. I'm just like pretty down on armors and just like bait units in general. Unless the bait unit is offering like support of some kind, which we'll get into a little bit later. So Hector, I mean, he's still solid. He's going to be all reliable forever, I guess. I don't see him ever, like, completely aging out because his kit was, like, kind of foolproof for the most part, except in terms of stats, which will eventually age out. Right. So him being able to have, what does he get? Like, Omni Breaker. He gets, like, inflicts guard on the enemies. He has
neutralizes penalties.
Nullification of... Yeah, he stops effective damage, which is really good for armors.
Exactly.
So, like, I find it very hard to see him completely aging out unless it becomes a stat issue with him.
Right.
But, like, as far as how he's doing right now, I mean, the offensive threats are just so dumb now. Like, I don't even see a point in trying to tank. Like, you might as well just go all offense yourself. So, I've got him in A tier. I think he's still a solid choice. You can still run him for sure. But he's not, like, the end-all, be-all as he used to be.
Right. Yeah, I definitely agree. Like, I dropped him down to S tier. I still think he's really good, but like in specific situations now. Before it was like you just use Hector everywhere, but now it's like kind of like you have to choose your battles. And so for me today, I was doing SDR and I used Hector actually as my save, which I typically don't. I use like for Mortis or something. But because the meta is so dominated by Legendary Hinoka and Duo Chrom right now, and they both rely on armor effectiveness and they're red.
Yeah.
Hector was actually putting in a lot of work. They couldn't kill him. So I was like, oh, okay, this is actually like a good like anti-meta pick right now. But a lot of times that's not the case. So like I do think he's definitely fallen off a bit. He's still definitely usable if you invest into him, but like he's definitely not the best save, right? He's not like up there with like Brow Tiki and stuff. It's kind of sad to see him, but he also had a very long reign of terror, right? Like he was good for like he was like the best unit for like 2 years or something.
Yeah, I mean they couldn't even get rid of him, so they just made Hector 2.0 with the
Yeah, they did. That was crazy to me. They're like, we gotta sell it. We gotta put some waifu on it.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to Choose Your Legends 3. And Choose Your Legends 3 is a weird one in my opinion. But let's start off with the female second place, Camilla. I have her in B tier. I think Camilla, I would have had her lower actually, but then they released all those like improved healer skills like we were talking about earlier, and I think they help her out a ton. They make her a lot more powerful.
Yeah.
They give her some more flexibility, and they also let her like, just hit harder. And the gravity is nice too, right? Like that's definitely something not to like overlook. But I think the biggest reason why I kept her in B tier was because she's a flyer, and we've got guidance 4 and soaring guidance. Yeah. Which are just like
and
crazy.
Hinoka as well.
Right. And yeah,
Hinoka support too.
Yes.
So I mean, there's a million things. Flyers are just like, I feel like flyers are the best right now. Like just straight up the best movement type because of all the stuff that they can do, and then you throw Hinoka into the mix as well.
Right.
And then also, her weapon isn't a wash either. Right. Like compared to Veronica, because she still does the, what is it, defense and res -7 in 3 columns and 3 rows. Yeah. So like that's a pretty solid debuff. That's not. And it's easy to activate it, so you can get away with that. And
she still gets some stats too. Like I think she gets like 8 attacking speed or something like that. So it's not like crazy, but it's a decent amount. And the gravity is really nice too. So I feel like overall she's still a pretty decent unit. And if you invest into her, she can work. But she can struggle like with killing things sometimes. But you could also use Legendary Leer to get past that damage reduction, which is nice.
Yeah. Oh, I actually didn't even think about that. Like giving staff units DR piercing with her.
Yep.
Yeah, that's another thing. Yep.
Yeah, she's pretty solid. So we both have her in B tier.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to the male one, and we got Brave Eliwood. Where do you got Brave Eliwood at?
I've got him in B tier. I think he's okay. It's just that like the melee calves right now are just so ludicrous that what he's offering is not enough to compete anymore. Yeah. I thought he was a pretty clutch option before. Like, I think I had him ranked pretty good in the last tier list we did. But he just hasn't aged well enough, I don't think. He has effective against, dragons and beasts? And, I mean, it would have been a little nicer if he was effective against armor there. But, I mean, those two type effectiveness, we don't really have... I've actually never seen a beast other than Freyr in summoner duels. So, like... That's kind of I guess maybe like base Asker.
Like from Mortis, probably.
Yeah, for Mortis too. But like, there's a very small pool of runnable beast units, and it's not like a very common thing to see. And then dragons as well. I feel like there are very good dragons, but it's not really the type of opponent that he's going to be fighting against.
He's going to lose anyway.
Like, all the dragons are like far save tanks for the most part. And then, like, he's a melee unit, so you can't really even get much out of his effective damage anymore.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like, I think not being able to pierce damage reduction is, like, such a downside for him. And then he doesn't have any of the crazy upsides that the other new calves have, right? Like, Brave Self has a 4 movement. Tiara just is stupid.
Yeah.
Special twice. All that kind of stuff, right? He doesn't have any kind of upside like that. His big upside is that he gets damage reduction, which is, like, not as big of a deal as it used to be.
Yeah, I mean, everyone gets damage reduction now.
Exactly. So, I also have him in B tier. I just think he's a decent unit. I have him at plus 10. He's good, but, like, he's just not what he used to be by any means.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to the female winner. We got Brave Micaiah. I have Brave Micaiah in B tier. And the reason why I mostly have her here is because of all the flying shenanigans, right? Guidance 4, Soren guidance. You're probably going to hear me say that quite a bit when it comes to flying units. Like, it's just... That support is so ridiculously powerful. Like, it makes flying units just better, in my opinion. The thing is, too, is, like, Micaiah does have that, like, armor effectiveness, which is really nice. The problem is, like, she can't pierce DR, and she also doesn't... She's also not very fast, so she's, like, reliant on guaranteed follow-up attacks. But I do think she's, like, decent. Like, I think if you invest heavily into her, she can do some good stuff, but it's just not, like, competing with some of the other units.
Yeah, I have her in C tier. I mean, if you want to go that route with, like, flyer guidance or soaring guidance and guidance 4, then I mean anyone who can equip that is like S tier kind of right. So like I mean you might as well. I actually had her in B tier because I was thinking like, okay, so she can do that, and then you support her with Hinoka, so she moves 3 spaces, she gets the acceleration, she's a pretty good debuffer too. You can give her like sabotage attack res, and then she can like debuff the enemies pretty well. So she's got options. It's not like she's a total wash. But, like, I mean, she's also got weaknesses, too. She's very susceptible to null follow-up. There's a lot of support now that nullifies penalties or just, like, power up from penalties. Like, with Unity and stuff like that. So, she's in kind of, like, a weird spot to me.
Yeah, I completely agree. I feel like I don't know. They need to do something more with her refine a little bit to make her more like future proof.
Yeah.
Okay, so then after that, our winner for males is Brave Alm. Where do you have Brave Alm at?
Okay, I've got him in B tier, and the reason why what made him so cool at the time that he got his remix was that he could move 3 spaces. Right, like that was the cool thing about him. He could move 3 spaces, and then he had like send scale to do massive amounts of damage, but that's not really that impressive anymore. I mean, there's like Brave Seliph who moves 4 spaces, and then he's got Miracle built in, and like all of that. So, and then Hinoka can give like charge support that we can get from like Alir and Hinoka and stuff. I feel like Alm kind of got lost in translation there with all the new stuff that we're getting, and at the end of the day, like most of the builds that he was running were like Godsword builds, but he doesn't really have the speed to do that either. So, I mean, there's not really too much I can see you getting use out of him with. So I've just got him in B tier.
So for me, I'm a big Brave Alm enjoyer, and I definitely agree that he's fallen off quite a bit. Like, he's not really usable in a lot of game modes now. I still use him every week, but the reason why is because I think he's really good in Aetheryte's offense. A lot of the times you run into like catch area balls, right? And they always have like a really strong frontliner. And the cool thing about Alm is that he can add his true damage to AoEs. So you can like pretty much run like a Wrath build on him, and then you get like 25% true damage on the AoE plus 10 damage from Wrath. And pretty much you can use like Growing Wind, and he'll literally kill everything. Everything will go down to 1 health. Like even Freyr goes down to 1 health, which is nuts.
Oh, okay. I didn't even know. So Send Scale scales on AoEs. Is that what you're saying?
The true damage from Send Scale gets added to AoEs. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's I didn't consider that.
Yeah. So that's pretty. That's good. The only reason why I still have him in A, because I think he still has a place in Aetheryte's offense with that kind of build.
Yeah, but that takes a lot of setup though.
It does. Yeah. You have to kind of sit there with Winter Burning and like wait a couple turns. But yeah. So it's not good against like fast teams, but like against all the catch area balls, it's really good. But I think that's why he's an A tier for me. Like he's still very usable, but just in very specific situations.
All right, that's fair.
What's next? Choose Your Legends 4. So Choose Your Legends 4 was our big refine batch last year, and they got some pretty solid refines in my opinion. Like I think they definitely came out like with some of the better refines now I can think of Choose Your Legends.
Yeah, I mean they still work, which is more than going to be said about a lot of these other units, right?
That's true, yeah, definitely. Okay, so our female second place was Lysithea. So I have Lysithea in S tier. I think Lysithea is actually kind of slept on. She's like actually a really powerful nuke. The introduction of Special Spiral 4 in particular really helped her out because that was like her biggest weakness. And she has like special acceleration, so she can actually get past guard and still pop off like a Luna and like kind of destroy a lot of things. And she has that desperation effect, so she can hit twice. So when you combine her with like Catchery or something like that, she's quadding. And I mean, it's a lot of damage. Like I don't think she's like the best nuke in the game, but I definitely think she's up in that area, like maybe like a tier below now, considering like all the crazy crap we've gotten in just like 4 months. But
yeah.
I definitely do think people are sleeping on her a little bit. I wish she would get the preference skill from T Lysithea. If she had that, she would be like the best unit in the game. That'd be nuts.
No. I mean, that skill. What the hell were they thinking?
I know, right? Okay, so where do you have Lysithea at?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much everything you just said I agree with, but I just have her in A tier. I didn't put her in S tier.
That makes sense, yeah. Like she's a unit who takes a bit of an investment for sure. Like you have to put some premium skills on her to get her working. Okay, next up we got Claude. So where do you got Brave Claude at?
All right, I got him in B tier. Pretty much like for the same reasons as like all these flyers. He can get Hinoka support. He can run Flyer Guidance or Soaring Guidance and Guidance 4. He's got Deadeye. He's a bow unit, so he can pierce damage reduction at least on his own with Deadeye. But, I mean, there's many ways you could get him to do that if you wanted other ways. And then he's okay. Like, his refine, I mean, they gave him a bunch of healing. I don't really know why he needs that, but he can kind of use it a little bit.
I'm not a big fan of that, to be honest. Like, I feel like they put too much of his refine into, like, trying to counter Fatal Smoke. And I think that was kind of stupid, in my opinion. Like, they should have, like...
Yeah, because, I mean, Fatal Smoke is not even meta.
Right, exactly.
So, like...
Exactly.
They did that on another unit, too. Who was
Duo
it?
Alphonse.
No, not Duo Alphonse. It was on... No, it's on Special Fighter 4,
Yes, you're right. Yeah, Special Fire 4, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So, like, why? Like, who cares? You counter Fatal Smoke, but that's not even a thing.
Right.
So why?
I couldn't tell you. It was so stupid to me, too, because, like, the problem with Claude, in my opinion, is, like, he wants to be an Omni tank, but as a flyer, he's still weak to bows, which is stupid. They should have gave him IOT shield. He doesn't have full no follow-up, so you can't really... It's difficult to get him that. You have to, like, either run, like, Katie and Lind, or, like, Fallen Lilith or something. And then also, he can struggle to kill things. Like, you really want to use, like, a 2 cooldown special in most situations, so that he can retaliate and heal. But, like, he can just miss kills, like, all the time. So, like... like, he can be really good if you give him enough support, but, like, he's definitely not keeping up with, like, the crazy Omni tanks we've gone, especially this year. We got, like, 7 or 8 God Swords, like, in the past 4 months. Okay, let's talk about Brave Edelgard. I think Brave Edelgard's in an interesting place. She was already a good unit before her refine, and then she got her refined, and it was like a decent refine, considering how good she was, right? She didn't get the Brave Lyn treatment at all, which is, not very common. So I think, for me, I still have Brave Edelgard in double S tier. I think she's still one of the better near saves in the entire game, which is, that's really a good place to be. And then also, she can be a far save. She's definitely not one of the better ones, but in Summoner Duels in particular, her extra movement and her warping is actually very valuable. It allows you to do some crazy openings. And so I think that is one of the reasons why she's so good, is because she's an armor unit, but not really, right? Like, she has warping and 2 movement.
Yeah, I mean, that's the reason why armor units suck, is that they move one space, but not with her. So, like, she can jump in. She gets 2 movement, and then she can also warp as well. So, like, you're pretty much good to go. You can run her on any team. She's one of the only armored units that you don't really need to support too much as far as, like, mobility is concerned, because she can just handle herself with that. And then, she, like, as far as near saving goes, she can tank Brave Seliph. I think that says enough.
Exactly. And the cool thing, too, is her Refine gave her guard, which is, like, one of the most valuable skills to have on a save unit. And so I think she's just really solid, even, a year later. So I have her in double S tier.
Yeah, like, I will admit she's still a pretty solid unit.
She's very good. And next up, we got Brave Dimitri, the unit who got, like, the craziest refine last year. Literally went from, like, a trash unit to, like, one of the best Omni takes in the game. Where do you got Brave Dimitri at?
Okay, I've got him in S tier, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to be mad about that, right? But I don't know. Like, he's an Omni tank. His speed didn't really age the best.
Right.
I mean, he can still run, like, speedy builds, but he's not, like, in this area where he's, like, the fastest or anything
not
like
close,
that. Yeah, so, like, all right, I want your opinion on this. What build do you run on Dimitri?
I run a full defense and resistance build with Null Sea Disrupt 4.
Okay. So what A skill? What A skill you get?
It depends on what I'm using. Like, if it's Earth Season and I can use Legendary Robin, I go with Unity. But if not, I use Sturdy Stance to give him guard, because he needs guard to not get, like, destroyed by capture balls.
Okay. Yeah. Now, in my experience, like, he's a very good tank. Obviously, he's, like, one of the units that people like to do the final boss thing with and, like, give him all the support so he can, like, solo. But, like, the offensive threats now are just so stupid. I've just beaten him right through all his support with Lysithea. Like, she just doubles him.
She's
and
a very good unit.
Yeah. So, like, I mean, I have a hard time putting these bait units or, like, Omni tanks as high up as, like, double S or triple S when they're incapable of tanking, like, some of the recent threats. Like, I feel like that's something we should consider here. So, I mean, he's still good, right? I'm not going to say he's a bad unit or anything. He's still solid. He still gets the job done. But I can't have him higher than double S or, like, triple S if he's not able to, like, handle himself against stuff that's coming out now.
Right. So for me, I haven't been in triple S. I think he's, like, one of the best Choose Your Legend units of all of them. And I think, like, it depends when it comes to, like, Dimitri. Like, because for me personally, when it comes to baiting, it's really not only about the unit, it's about the support you run with them, right? Like, you need to have the correct support for the correct situation. And so I think, like, Dimitri's one of the only Omni tanks in the game, even, like, with Summer Fjorm out and, like, why am I blanking? Lucina and them, they all struggle against Brave attacks. But I think Dimitri's, like, one of the few ones who just can take Brave attacks and it, like, just bounces off him a lot of times if you support him correctly.
It helps that he... Yeah, because he's got the true DR based on defense. That really helps.
Exactly.
And then also, like, unlike the God Swords, his defense is pretty good.
Yeah.
Right? Like, the other God Swords, they're usually just, like, all focused on attack and speed, but he's got defense to work with.
Exactly. And that's the thing, too. Like, he was falling off a bit for me, and then they introduced Null Seed Disrupt, right? And it removed his weakness to, like, Flash, to, like, Elise, all the stupid healers coming out, right? Hinoka. He can deal with all of them now because of Null Seed Disrupt, which is really nice. The thing is, like, you just need to make sure, like, he's like, getting, like, a P&E buff so he doesn't get, like, any, like, debuffs on him. Like, he's debuffed for stuff like that. You definitely need to, like, you know, make sure he's supported correctly for him to fully work. But the thing for me is, like, I just think you should fully invest in his defense and res and not in speed, because, like, there's no way he's outspeeding the current threats. It's impossible. Like, there's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But if you go full defense and res, like, that's reducing damage. Like, overall, it's reducing damage, and then you can use the flat damage reduction and the damage reduction in Null C to, like, kind of cover it up. And it works for me. Like, it definitely works for me. And you can even use Legendary Leer with him, and then you can give him a healing special, and it pierces DR, which is really, really nice. I think a lot of people don't realize quite yet, because she's new.
Yeah, because then he just beats up like Glass Cannon trying to save themselves with, like, Remote Sparrow or whatever.
Exactly.
And then he just blows them up and heals.
Yeah, I definitely think he's one of the best bait units in the game right now still. It just takes investment and, like, understanding of, like, how to use him properly, which isn't the easiest thing, for sure. So we're going to skip Choose Your Legends 5, right, because that's the newly refined batch, and we're going to go to Choose Your Legends 6. So let's move on. Let's go to female Brave Byleth. I have her in A tier, and I was really high on this unit last year. I thought she was really powerful. The thing is like, everybody has damage reduction right now. Like, every single unit has damage reduction. Remote Sparrow, Remote Mirror, like the stupid defense one that has a dumb name. Like, everybody has, like, freaking DR. And so, like, she can really struggle to kill in one hit, or even two hits sometimes. Now, I was going to actually have her a little bit lower, but, like, the thing is, Legendary Leer just came out, and it fixes one of her biggest problems. It makes her a lot better. And you also have the option of going, like, more offensive and just, like, saying screw speed preempt and just going for damage, because she can actually put out a good amount of damage. But I think, like, overall, like, Fallen female Byleth is just better than her. Like, she's just the better alternative, right? She's a better movement type, and she has more effects. Like, so, for me, she's going to be an A tier.
Yeah, I've also got her in A tier. What you said about Fallen Byleth is pretty much my same sentiments. When we saw this Brave Byleth, I was very hype about Divine Pulse. I would probably say that's probably the best special in the game, giving you non-pierceable DR, like, so much non-pierceable DR. That's like, what is it, 75%?
Yeah, it's a lot.
And then it stacks on, like, if you proc it twice in combat, it stacks a second time on itself.
Right, you get the true damage and the special damage. It's crazy.
Yeah, like, I want to say that's the strongest special in the game.
I think it's second. Because Legendary Leer, I think, is a little bit better now.
Oh, okay, all right. I mean, that's got... Yeah,
the Kamehameha.
That's not fresh on the mind. That literally just came out. So, like... All right, I was sleeping on that a little. But, yeah, I mean, the Fallen Byleth does her job pretty much better, because Divine Pulse is the main selling point of
100%,
Brave Byleth. Yeah. And the Fallen one can run Null C, and then when you support her with a Leer now, she can pierce DR. I was actually, like, thinking about giving that Fallen Byleth Special Spiral 4, so she could just Vantage and then insta-kill people with Divine Pulse. Now you don't even have to do that. You just give her Null C and then support her with a Leer.
Yep.
So, yeah, so, like, I feel like this Byleth, she's still a flyer, though, so... I mean, as we've said with all these other flyers, they can run the flyer support skills, they can get Hinoka support, so... I don't think she's a nobody, but I also don't think she's, like, crazy or anything like that.
Same. Yeah, I completely agree. Like, she's close, but, like, they need to, like, introduce a few more things for her to be broken, I think.
Yeah, and her speed, too. Yes. Like, if she's not winning the speed checks, that's a serious problem for her.
Right, exactly, right. And speed creep is insane right now.
Yeah, like, I feel like she can't really keep up too well with some of the new stuff in terms of speed.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, let's talk about the male second place. I completely forgot about this. Tacho just reminded me that Seliph actually got second place. For some reason, I thought he got first because he's so goated.
I mean, yeah, he's clearly better than... well, at the time, at least. Yes. I thought he was, like, superior to Chrom.
On release, definitely. Completely. I don't think anyone would argue he's better than Chrom, for sure.
I mean, most people even had him as the best unit in the game on release.
Yes, he was easily at least top 3. Like, he was so insane. Like, it was just bonkers how good he was.
Yeah.
So where do you have Seliph at right now?
I've got him in double S,
okay.
And it's not hard to see why. He's got 4 movement. That, like, this game is predicated on movement. There's a very good reason why Soaring Guidance and Guidance 4 are so dominant, and it's because of movement. So, like, any unit that is able to just dominate with movement is really good. He's got built-in Canto 2 as well, which is very strong. You can extend that further. You can give him hit and run if you want, but there's a lot of B skill options for him now. He can pierce DR now as well if you give him a Leer support. That's another like pretty cool thing about him. But like the main thing that was kind of bogging him down a little was the speed. Similar to Byleth, like his speed hasn't really aged the best, so he can have a hard time doubling things. So the fix for that is to just run AoE Seliph.
Yes,
so
exactly.
It's essentially, you basically hit twice anyway, and then you can still cancel away. And then he's got full health, so he can still survive with the miracle.
No, yeah, I completely agree. Like,
so yeah,
that's definitely the way to go in my opinion. Like, it's so strong because he gets all that true damage too. Like true damage on top of AoEs is ridiculous.
Yeah,
and he's 4 movements, so you're just like running around smacking people.
Yeah.
He's still like he's just the thing is like they just released so many powerful like calves within the past like I don't know 4 months or something. So like it's not that he's not like he's not like they're directly better than him. They're just better than him in certain situations. Like Tiara does more damage than him, even though he has like better survivability. And then like Ephraim's also kind of nuts. I don't know. Like Ephraim's pretty crazy too with that. And then also like Shez now. Shez is like just a lot of damage too.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like the competition's gotten a little bit stiff.
Yeah, I feel like it's more like a pick your favorite kind of thing. Like which one is doing that one thing that you like more than the other one.
That's a great way to put it. I definitely agree. So you don't think we're sleeping on Self. Self's still really strong. It's just that I think he's gone down a little bit in power.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got our female winner for last year, I should say, in Brave Tiki. And this is gonna, oh man, last year we got a lot of hate for this one. We'll probably get a lot of hate this time too.
Yeah, but, I mean, she didn't move down on my tier. She's in the same place that I had her last time.
True,
so
same.
I've got her in A tier, and I mean, like, what do we say about Tiki? She's. I'll let you lead us off because I don't even know what to say.
She's in the exact same situation she was last year. Like, it's just she gets destroyed by no follow-up, dragon effective damage. There's 2 Tikis who power crept her like literally months after, right? We got Scented BB Tiki, then we got Brile Tiki, like, and they're just better than her in every way, almost, like in my opinion. Like, she's still a solid unit. Don't misunderstand. She's a solid unit, but she has clear weaknesses that you can take advantage to kill her. And because of that, like, I just can't move her up higher. But I don't think she's really fallen down to the point where she's like, you know, like not usable. She's definitely usable, but you just have to make sure you're like playing around those weaknesses, which are pretty big in a lot of situations.
Yeah, I mean, the what seals the deal with her is her unique is in her B slot.
Yeah.
And that's like where all the good stuff is. So,
right.
I mean, that's an RIP. She can't really run a good B skill without getting rid of a lot of her like unique abilities.
Exactly. Yeah. And they've been putting out crazy ones like No See Disrupt 4 and Counter Roar 4. Those are so good. Like, if she was able to run that alongside somehow getting her unique special effects, like she'd be like way better.
Yeah, I mean, this is a whole different conversation if her C skill was the unique,
right? And
then she could still have a B skill.
Right, exactly. But yeah, I think I don't know if we have much else to say about Tiki. We've kind of dumped on her like all last year, and I dump on her like every stream almost.
Yeah. Let's save people the agony and move on.
Right, exactly. Okay, let's move on. So we're gonna move on to our male winner, which is Brave Chrom. And this unit, I think we both said it last year that like he had a lot of potential to age well because he can steal effects. Like we were.
Yes. And I mean that's exactly what happened. Pretty much. Like the meta has just evolved into start a turn. How many start a turn bonuses do you get? Like that's basically the meta. So. Obviously, he ate really well. The real issue we had with him last time was that there was a consistency issue. Like, in order to really get him a ton of bonuses, you had to like jump through a bunch of hoops and get like specific supporters and stuff. Right. But nowadays, it's just like so free to be getting like 7 or 8 bonuses at the start of the turn now.
It's kind of ridiculous at this point, to be honest. Like you don't even like have to give specific units. Like before, like you're like, I need to run Asker with him. You don't have to run Asker anymore. You just run something else. Like it's so ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then for me, the reason, because I have him in triple S tier, I think he's aged better than Self, and the reason for that is that, like we were saying earlier, there's a lot of alternatives to Seliph, but you typically want to run Chrom with those alternatives also, right? Like Seliph and Chrom are like the super duo, but you can kind of take Chrom now and put him with Tiara, put him with, you know, Summer Shez or Ephraim, and he's still gonna be really, really good. And so that's why I have him a little bit higher.
Yeah, I also actually have him better than Seliph. It's just that I like in my tiers I don't order like units by like who's better than who in the tier. It's just like relative. But I do actually think he is better than Seliph now, and a lot of that is because he's getting like all the stats, and then he's still got to change fate.
Right. Oh my gosh.
He can repo and then like move again. That's so good for action economy.
Right.
It's just so, and particularly with him and the Fallen Chrom, because they can move 3 spaces naturally, whereas like Legendary and Duo Chrom, unless you give them warping, they can only move 2 spaces. Yep. So it's easier to just like slide them on a team and then just abuse the reposition.
Yeah, especially in like those aggressive Congo lines, which have become like, you know, they're very popular in SD on maps that are friendly to caps. And like with that, the action economy is so nice, and it also just lets you extend the range. So if you have like a 4 movement unit like Brave Self or like Summer Ephraim, you just do the repo, right, to change fate. Chrom just got buffer, and now you also have a 4 unit cav running at you. So it's like he's so good. It's really ridiculous how good this unit is.
Yeah, he's everything that people thought he was last year right now.
Exactly. Yeah, he's actually gotten better with time, which is not something very common in Fire Emblem Heroes.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely gonna have him up pretty high for both of us. Okay, let's move on to our newest Choose Your Legends units. And this batch I honestly think this is one of the most interesting batches of Choose Your Legends units we've ever gotten. I think that like the designs of their kits are so unique and cool, and I hope they do that next year, because a lot of times they just don't, right? Like Choose Your Legends 4 was boring as hell.
Yeah.
Like it was just like
No, 3 was the worst.
3 was the worst. You're right. 3 was the worst. But I'm glad. I don't know who they did. They got the good designer on the team. Like he only shows up like once every like 2 years, but they got him for the Choose Your Legends batch this time, and it's a really nice batch. So let's start off.
It's Intern Kuhn's brother.
Then he talks to Intern Kuhn, and Intern Kuhn leaks it.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay, so we're gonna go with the female runner-up, which is Brave Corrin. Now, Brave Corrin is an interesting unit. I have her in triple S tier, but I'm gonna be honest, I think she could go down to SS tier depending on the situation. She's one of those units where, like, if you heavily invest into her and she wins the speed check, she's really strong and difficult to deal with. Like, it becomes insanely difficult to deal with her. The second she loses that speed check, or like the wrong situation happens, like she explodes. So like for me, I have her in triple S tier because I think she is probably the best save at the moment. But I do think she's going to age the worst of this group, and I don't expect to see her this high next year. I can see her easily being in like S tier next year or lower, possibly, depending on what happens. But the thing is with her is like the Divine Stone effect, right? Like that's the big selling point for her.
Yeah. So I mean, you just called her the best save unit, but I beg to differ because you can turn your own unit into a save unit now with a certain other guy.
Right. We will definitely talk about that one.
Yeah, so I mean, there are better save units than her now, technically, but I'm honestly kind of stunned with this Corrin because they managed to make an armored unit that doesn't suck. So, like, I feel like with her, the Divine Vein Stone is a really good support, and it's going to age well even if this Corrin ages out as a save option, I feel like. Because, like, you can just set up the Divine Vein Stones, and it's helping other units tank better, even if it's not her.
Right.
So, like, you can have your other units tank a lot better. She's got that speed, too. Like, her speed is solid enough. You could give her a player phase build if the time ever came. Like, if you're just running her for the stone support, you could run, like, Guidance 4, have her jump in and player phase something,
Smash in the face,
like, give her, like, Counter Roar is pretty solid player phase utility, and then I don't know, like, what other skills, like, just a bunch of attack and speed boosting skills, and then just have her jump in and, like, start fighting player phase style while giving the stone support to, like, your other better defenders, basically.
Yeah, I agree. I think, like, for me, like, she's a really good Ether Rates offense unit because you can, like, really, like, push her power in that mode. You can, like, give her all the supports and all the mythic buffs and stuff. In Summoner Duels, like, it's kind of more of, like, a variable thing where, like, I don't think she's the best save by any means, but she can be good. Like, I've run into, like, plus 10 Corrins, and I just couldn't do damage to her. And I was like, okay, well, this, got outwailed a little bit. So I think she definitely is strong in the right situations. Like, she's really strong in the right situations, but, like, that requires investment. So I think I have her here now. I don't think she'll stay there forever, but for right now, at this exact moment, I think she's pretty strong. Okay, so then we go to the male second place, and that is going to be Soren. Now, Soren is a very interesting unit. I think he's like one of the most interesting units we've ever gotten because of his support effect. So where do you have Soren at?
Yeah, I've got him in triple S. It's like, it kind of just goes without saying. I mean, like you said, Corrin is probably the best armored unit as a save unit, but I mean, you can do a lot better with Soren, turning like Duo Asker into a save unit, or Duo Ymir into a save unit, or like, and then you could turn like Brave Robin into a save unit for near saving. Yep. Like there's so many. The possibilities are endless with him. Like it just comes down to what you're trying to accomplish, like what your goal is. You could do Alir too. You could turn the new legendary Alir into a save unit. So like, I mean, some of these like these infantry units with Null C have just an innate advantage over the armored units that can't really defend against Fire Sweep too well. Right. So like that's already in their favor. And then they're offering better support than Corrin can with the stones. Like I would say Asker's support is probably better. Alir's support is probably better. Like Ymir with the miracle effect on her C skill, and then also her duo skill is really sick too.
Oh my god.
She can turn off, like Ymir turns off undefended. So like if they have Emblem, you could just give them the middle finger.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, it's just like, pick your pony with Soren pretty much. Just like, who do you want to be your save unit? And then they're offering like so much for the team, and this like, building your team in Summoner Duels, I feel like it's also very heavily weighted on which units are doing the most things as opposed to which units are doing one thing the best.
Right.
So, like, you want to just have, like, a team full of all-rounders that are just capable of doing a lot of things. So that's where his support really shines. Also, I love how we're just talking about units that he can grant save to and not him himself. So, like he's just a nuking unit. Yes. He can pull off that nuking roll.
He's a very good
run
nuke. Like I think I was surprised how good of a nuke he actually is.
Yeah, and then he's got that fat res stat too, so he's good against mages.
Yep.
And he turns off adaptive damage, so he's good against dragons. Like this is like there's a lot to him. He's very strong.
He gets like a ridiculous amount of stats too in his weapon. Like he has a brave weapon. He has anti-guard, which is really, really good because you can go for flare, but you can also just go for like ruptured sky, and he's gonna hit it always before the enemy gets to attack, which is crazy. And then like the other thing too about being able to make your own save unit is like a lot of time in SD, it's like a nuke trading war, right? You're just constantly trading units, and a lot of times your save doesn't trade; it just gets killed. Like you just have it there as a protection. But when you have like dual Ymir as your save, you just get an extra nuke on your team. Now you're up one nuke against the enemy team. Like that's a massive advantage to have. So I think like we're just starting to see what Soren can do, and he's already like completely ridiculous. I got rank 1 SDS with Soren, and I only lost one match, and it was like a dumb match to lose. Like he was just putting in so much work. And the other thing too is when his save dies, he makes a new save, which I think people don't realize, and that's really, really strong.
Yeah, he just makes an endless supply of saves. So him being a nuking type unit, you would want to try to like get rid of him first because he's such a threat. Yep. But if he's making something else a save unit and you try to attack him, then you're not attacking him, you're attacking the other thing. Right. So like it could be really hard to get rid of him specifically.
And he could even make two saves too. I don't know if we mentioned that, but he can make two saves at the same time, which is
yeah. I mean, he could make as many as 5, but like there's no use in doing that.
Yeah, for sure. So. But yeah, it's definitely. So for me, I think Soren's the best Future Legends unit at the moment, but I think it's pretty close. Like it depends on the situation, but for me overall, I think I'm highest on Soren at the moment.
Yeah, I've got him like really high up there too. Right. I mean, honestly, like, I feel like it's almost a 3-way tie. I want to say, like, Robin is better. I think Gullveig kind of crept up in there, too, after I got to use her this season.
She's really good.
Well, maybe it's just this map is just very favorable towards her, the map that we have right now. But, like, I mean, I don't really see her being any less effective by the same means. Like, you give her Hinoka support, and then she's able to, like, play her phase and then take 2 actions and all that. She's going to be good for the same reasons elsewhere as she is right now. So, I mean, I feel like what I'm saying is like this is probably the closest Choose Your Legends as far as who the best one is.
Oh, absolutely. And yeah, speaking of Brave Gullveig, you have her in triple S tier, right?
Yeah, I do. I got a lot of effectiveness out of her. She was easily the MVP for me this round in SDR. Now, but for the most part, like what I've got and what I've been able to use, Gullveig has been just like tearing ass. She's really good. I like her in all the modes pretty much. I like her in Aether Raids O. She can be good in ARD as well on a defense team because like the Flared Sparrow true damage that she's getting, she's probably the best user of Flared Sparrow. Yeah. It's either like her or Hinoka, maybe, but
yeah, I think it's her.
Yeah, it's probably Gullveig, honestly. So, like, we look at how busted that skill is, and then we're putting it in the hands of the unit who uses it best. I feel like it just goes without saying. She's just very, very strong.
Oh, no, definitely. I have her in double S tier because I do think she has some weaknesses. Now, there are definitely ways to get around those weaknesses, right? Like you were mentioning, Legendary Hinoka support fixes her mobility, like on the second action. Pretty much makes it that it doesn't exist. And then also Legendary Lear removes her like DR piercing weakness, which is like one of the biggest reasons like people were kind of down on her.
Yeah.
So that can get removed too. I think she's really, really strong. I think she's like she's the closest I had to going to triple S that I had in double S. I lost to her in SDR. My only loss was to her. I think people underestimate how good the action economy is with her. Like getting that extra action makes it so there's just another threat in your face you have to deal with. And if you don't, she cantos away.
And late game too, because if you get to a certain point where they've used up all their actions, but your Gullveig can still move, that's just a free +2.
Right, exactly. No, yeah, definitely.
Because they have no answer to her, and she just attacks 2 things. So, like, that's huge.
And she puts down the fire. So, like, you kill one thing, and then you kill another thing, and there's fire blocking you to get, like, back to get the revenge kill sometimes. So, like, she's definitely really, really strong. I think AoE specials are probably the way to go with her. I think that's, like, probably her best build at the moment. Maybe with the Legendary Lear support, you could do something else. But, like...
Yeah, I used her with the Lear this season, and Luna worked out fine. Like, she was blowing up everything. Nothing actually was able to live against her with the Lear support.
It's a very good support.
So, like, I mean, Duo Asker turned into a save unit. I blew him up. I think I blew up a +10 Corrin
nice.
Too. So, like, I mean, there's quite a lot of things that she can just power right through when she's nullifying DR.
Right,
so,
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but if you don't have a Lear, then AoEs is probably smart as well.
Yeah, she's definitely a unit I think people slept on a little bit. And I think, to be fair, though, like, we didn't know Lear was coming out, so that's, like, one of the reasons why people were sleeping on her. But she's proven to be really strong, and she's really fun. I think that's one of the biggest things, is she's really, really, really fun to play with.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to the male winner, and that's going to be Brave Robin. I have Brave Robin in triple S tier. I believe you two too. You're like you really love Robin, right?
Yeah, I think he's probably the best supporter in the game.
He's so like,
I mean, Rally
is so good.
Rally Spectrum, but like, it's not just Rally Spectrum giving you the all stats of 5, but then it's also giving you that special acceleration before you hit. Like, that just puts so many units over the top.
I completely agree.
It's so crazy,
especially in the meta we're in right now, where everybody has guard. Like, everybody runs guard, and so being able to get around guard consistently is so good. Like, people sleep on that so much.
Yeah.
The support is insane. Being able to just get +5 to all stats is already really good, right? Like, if we look at, like, Legendary Eliwood, he's usually giving out +6 to all stats, and, like, this is, you know, that can get nullified by a lot of different ways. This one doesn't get nullified, which is really strong. Special Acceleration is really strong. And then as a unit himself, he hits hard. Like, he hits really hard when it's special procs. Yeah. Like, adaptive damage that pierces DR is nothing to, like, laugh at. Like, and his mobility. Like, 5 spaces of warping. I think people don't know how much space that actually is. That's like almost the whole map. Like, it's ridiculous how far he can move.
Yes. Yeah. No, he's nuts.
Like, yeah, I'm pretty high on this too. I think, like, he's really good in SD. He's really good in Aether8's offense. I've seen people try to use him in Aether8's defense. I think it can work there, but you have to, like, really know what you're doing. Like, you really have to understand AI to get him to work there. Anyways, okay, so we got all the CYL7. So we have some obviously high rankings for these units, right? CYL7 is, like you said, like one of the closest power group we've had. They're all either triple S or double S in that section. Like, these are some powerful units.
Yeah.
But now we gotta talk about Choose Your Legends 5 with the recent refines. And this was a really interesting batch. Okay, so let's start off with the female loser, who was Brave Erika. And Brave Erika was I think most people just considered her to be the strongest of that batch at release. At least that's what I thought.
Well, I mean, I still had Gatekeeper over her, but I'm like a weirdo, so disregard my thoughts.
I mean, you're not the only one, for sure. There's other people that definitely think that as well. So when it came to Erika, I have her in S tier at the moment. Where do you have her at?
I also have her in S tier.
Okay, so we both kind of agree. I think the problem is, like, one, there's really stiff competition, right? There's Brave Self and all the people we were talking about earlier. And the other thing is, like, her refine is, I think, better than people are giving it credit for, but it's still not broken.
It's just, for the most part, it's just a bunch of stats,
Right,
ain't it?
yeah.
Like, she gets lull. The lull
The
is
lull is
nice.
really good, yeah.
Yeah, and then, like, the numbers of stats, I don't have it memorized. She literally just came out, so...
It's a lot of stats.
Yeah, but it's, from my recollection, it's just basically a lot of stats, and then she lulls now.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, that's pretty good for her.
Right. I think the biggest reason why she fell off was because of speed. She just couldn't keep up. So getting a ton of speed in her weapon and then also a lull to make sure that enemies can't take advantage of buffs is like, it fixes her biggest problem, I'd say. But the problem is that she still doesn't have a way to deal with DR, which is a big deal. So like, that kind of holds her back in my opinion. You can use a Leer to fix that. You know, that's always an option. But typically when you're running like Brave Erika, you really don't want to use her with an Omni tank, like, or even a Leer. You want to run like really other calves, right? Like it's typically how you work. You have like a big cav line and you just run around killing things. So I think that's kind of one of the big downsides for her. And then the other thing is like, I think they did improve her a little bit because she kind of had a problem where she would just die to a lot of stuff, but they gave her like full no follow-up now, so she can be more tanky, which is nice. They also improved her DR.
Yeah, so I think she gets like, wait, does she get dual phase DR or is it?
Yeah, it's dual 40%.
Okay, yeah, and then now with the negating enemies guaranteed follow-up, that helps her quite a bit.
Yeah, I think it's a solid refine. It definitely makes her like much more usable. She's you know, definitely, if you invest into her, she definitely works. She just isn't like, I don't know if she's even like in the top tier of calves at the moment. I think she's probably like in like the tier below.
Yeah, I mean, there's an easy way they could have made her better, is just give her +1 movement.
that would have helped a ton. Yeah, definitely. I was hoping for that or piercing, like one of the two, but they didn't give her either. So I think that's kind of a sad side for Erika. But besides that, so let's talk about the male Choose Your Legends winner, or second place winner, Marth. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm pretty disappointed with this refine. Like, I think it's beyond underwhelming. Like, they gave him like stats pretty much, and DR and anti-guard, and that's it. That was his whole refine.
Yeah, I feel like they completely missed the mark on what he needed. Like, it's not even. First of all, they left his condition the same, where he needs allies that have a total of 60 bonuses. Like, they couldn't have like made that a little more lenient.
Oh man!
And then not only that, but then they didn't give him null C. They didn't give him DR piercing.
Nope, yeah.
Both of those things would have put him over. Now, you can actually get both of those things on him by running null C4 and then having the Aleer support, right? But, like, at that point, is that even worth it, though? Because, like, you still got to have 60 total bonuses, which he doesn't do on his own. He only gets all stats up 6 to himself with his special. And then unless he procs it in combat, he's not giving everyone else all stats up 6. So, like, it becomes a difficult way. Like, how do you manage getting his 60 bonus thing to activate? Like, they could have easily just made that like a total of 30 instead. Like, just cut it in half. I think would have made it better.
I completely. The other thing too that I think a lot of people don't realize is that he also has to have a unit within 2 spaces of him, which is a really bad condition to activate your weapon. Like, a lot of maps, you just can't have a unit within 2 spaces of you. Like, they'll just die. And so I think that, like, really, really sucks. I was really hoping they'd make it, like, 3 or 4 spaces at least. Like, 3 spaces at the very minimum. But they didn't change that. They didn't change the stat conditions, which sucks. And, like, to be honest, the reason why I have Marth up higher than last year, because last year I had him, like, a B. I had him really low. And it's because Special Spiral 4 came out, right? Special Spiral 4, Aleer, and Null C came out. So you have options to make him good. Like, if you really plan out the team, you can make a really strong unit. But you need to plan out the team, and you also have to use them on specific maps. Like, it's so many hoops to jump through compared to like a different god sword like Lucia or like Fjorm, right? You just throw them out there and that you pretty much win. Like
Now we talk about all of this support. I did fight him in one of my fights today for SDR.
Oh really? Okay.
And I dominated him. So like I mean we were just running because they were giving him like so much support and I was just I didn't need to attack him. I just had my Gullveig run up and attack somebody else, and then she moved again and attacked someone else. So, like, I killed everyone around him and saved him for last, and then he was just out of luck at that point.
That's what happened to me, too. I fought Lucina, and I just killed all of her support. I was like, okay, you're by yourself
like,
now.
You just avoid... just leave her alone and then go after the rest of the guys.
Right. So, yeah, I have him in S tier. Where do you have him at?
I have him in A tier.
Okay, yeah, I think that's fair. Like, he's definitely usable. If you're a Marth fan, you can make it work. It's just like this is not this was like a not good refine. Like he got like, I don't know. I don't want to say he got effied because it's not that bad, obviously, but like it's definitely not that good either. Okay, let's move on to the female Future Legends winner, Marianne. And I am a big Marianne fan. I've been using Marianne since she came out. I love her with Gale Force. And she got like a ridiculous refine. Like she got everything she wanted and more. Like I made a tier list video for Marianne and I put like all these effects in S and S tier, S plus. And I thought she'd get like one or two of them. She got all of them. Like
yeah.
She got
they gave her like literally every single thing she wanted.
They're like, hey, you want damage reduction halving? Cool. You get slaying, you get anti-guard, you get true damage based off 20% of your speed. It works with AoEs. Like they literally gave her everything to fix her. And the cool thing is that now that they gave her that much stuff, she's actually versatile enough where she can just be a nuke. She doesn't even have to like use the Requiem dance. Like
yes,
she can go the Bramimon route, and you can even put Magic No Follow-Up on her, and she gets 75% damage reduction against every single hit. Like that's ridiculous. Like not much stuff is living through that. And like even today in SDR, I was talking to Mask, who's like a big SD player. Like he's kind of like in Asia and the West, and he got rank 1 with Marianne. Marianne killed everything. Killed Corrin, killed every single raid boss like it was nothing. She just shredded right through him, and it was +0 Marianne. +0 Marianne running pass.
Yeah. That doesn't even surprise me. And pass, of course.
Right,
the last unit we're going to talk about, right?
Exactly.
But, like, I mean, yeah, but no, like, for real, I always loved using Marianne with the Brave support from Catria or Cordelia, because, like, she's one of the better units to, like, hit 4 times in a row. And also, like, on her refine, like, they gave her just, like, so many effects that I feel like they could have even cut out one of those effects and she still would have been good.
Yeah, definitely.
Because, like, they gave her, like, the anti-guard. I feel like that wasn't even necessary at that point, like, considering all the other stuff they gave her. But it's obviously very nice that they gave it to her. So, like, she's just got so many options now.
They even gave her more DR, which is crazy to me, because she already had 70%. And they gave her 80 and 30% on enemy phase.
Yes, yeah.
Like, what?
I mean, what do you... like, how do you really tank her? I don't think there's really a way.
It's difficult. It's definitely not easy to tank her. Like, she hits, like... You have to outspeed her pretty much. Yeah. Like, that's, like, the only way.
Yeah, and then the Requiem dance giving somebody else another action after, like... I mean, she's just really good.
I love it. I'm so happy, because I thought she was going to be the loser for sure beforehand. But she came out, like, just crazy refined. But speaking of that, we got to talk about the male Choose Your Legends winner, and this is probably the most controversial unit, I think, just in Fae, maybe. Like, you either love him or you hate him, typically. So here's Gatekeeper. I'm going to let Tacho take this away, because I know you are, like, a big Gatekeeper fan, so go ahead and talk about Gatekeeper a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, he's the man. Like, what else is there to say? Cancel, Control, and Warp Bubble, like, just being able to disrupt what the enemies are doing is so important, and... like, warping has become pretty much the game at this point. Like, there's so many warp effects. Look at Brave Robin. He's got warping. Yep. Like, all these flyer units, they've got Soaring Guidance and Guidance 4. Now,
Charge.
I found out today, like, Charge too. I found out today, though, that there's a counterplay to Warp Bubble. You can give your unit pass, and then all of a sudden they can just jump right through Warp Bubble, which I was unaware of, but, like... you can't run pass on everything. I mean, you can run it on, particularly the ranged flyers. Like, they're really good with pass because they don't even have an optimal B skill at the moment anyway. So, like, they might as well just run pass anyway. But, like, for, like, infantry types, I feel like they've got other options. Like, Marianne, we just brought up. She's really nice with Magic Null follow-up. Or, like... Duo Asker, he's really nice with Special Spiral 4, so you don't always want to be running pass on all your units, so it's still, like, even if Warp Bubble isn't completely foolproof, it still helps enough to a degree that I feel like it warrants running him, and then Cancel Control is obviously, like, just going to be really effective anywhere. And now with his refine, they gave him all stats of 5 in a really wide radius of effect, 3 columns and 3 rows. So that you could equate that to him just giving Rally Spectrum for the most part, at least in terms of the stats. And then he's also giving a healing effect now. Now, for me, that doesn't really matter too much because most of my teams are just glass cannon nukes. But, like, for if you're running, like, the bulky options, then the healing can be a really clutch effect to have. So, like, he can help out there. They gave him true DR based on defense. Like, that was one of the effects he really needed. So, now, I actually got a really cool kill with him. I was able to blow something up at the very end. Because, like, both of us had 1 unit left in one of my fights. I was running the Captain Seal that gives you the cooldown, the pulse at the start of every turn, past turn 2. And he just had like an Ignis pre-charge. I just blew something up at the end. So like, yeah, like, I mean, he can still definitely put, yeah. What does he do too in terms of stats? He does like attack and res minus 14 or something. So
it's close to that, yeah.
Yeah, they gave him a lot of debuffs.
Yeah, no, definitely. For me, I have him in S tier, like double S tier, like a little bit lower. I don't have him in triple S, and the reason why is because I knew about the pass weakness. And so I knew that like that was an option to counter him essentially. It's kind of like how like Duo Corrin came out and she was so strong. Her and Witcher Lysithea came out and everyone started running deflect like magic to like counter them, right? I kind of feel the same way with Gatekeeper, where like he's definitely really strong, but if you run past, then he becomes like less powerful. Right? The thing like you mentioned though is like you are losing a B skill for that, which on some units that's a really big deal, and on some units it doesn't matter. Like you were saying, like Legendary Hinoka does not care. It's like whatever, right? And so for me, like, I don't think he's at that meta level where like he like warps the entire meta, but I think he does have a big impact on it. That's kind of where I'm at with him.
Yes, yeah. Like, I mean, if you're even going as far as to running pass on your units because of his existence, that's like that shows that he's having an impact in some way.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I completely agree. I definitely think he like has he's having an impact and he's a good unit in a lot of situations. I think the biggest problem I have with him is like they went like the tank route with him, but he's not tanky enough to like frontline against everything, right? A lot of the more powerful nukes are going to take him out. Like Hindoka's going to kill him. Like, Ira, Seliph, like they take him out. And so like for me, I wish they would have went the damaging route, like Asker, like Duo Asker, right? Because then he could have been like a really powerful support. But then when you need to, you can just send him in and he kills. Like he just blows something up, right? The problem is like his B slot is where his like anti-warping is, so you can't run Special Spiral 4, which sucks because like he really wants to run Special Spiral 4. That's like that would be insane on him. So that So when it comes to SD, that's my problem with him. When it comes to Ether8's offense, I think he's amazing. I think he's like one of the best supports in the entire game in Ether8's offense. Like hands down.
I mean, in like either like ARD and ARO, he can be very effective because it's very hard to Gale Force teams when he's there.
Yep. But the other thing too is like in Ether8's offense, a lot of times you don't have the comfort of running a lot of supports within 2 spaces, right? Like if you put too many units within 2 spaces, a lot of times one of them is going to get sniped. And so with Gatekeeper, the really cool thing is he could be all the way in the back row chilling, and he's still giving out that support. And that is like invaluable in my opinion, because that means you can run another support within 2 spaces of your Omni tank. And so you can kind of like double down on support in a lot of ways, right? You could have like Fallen Maria there, and then Gatekeeper well. And he's also turning off the warping, which is nice too.
I was just going to say, and then he's got cancel control also, which is really good for defenses.
Right, yeah, for defense especially, yeah. And then the healing too, right? Like, because I was already using Saline for my Omni tank teams because of the healing. I just run Gatekeeper. He's better than Saline in almost every single way when it comes to support. He gives the healing and the stats, and he doesn't have to be within 2 spaces or 3 spaces, right? He can just be in the back row. So I think, like, even though I think I wish I would have got like even more an insane refine, I was hoping for like a null C aura or like a anti-brave aura or something just broken, which he didn't get. Even then, like his refine is very, very solid, and it's made him like a top contender for support units.
And then on ARO, because like everyone's running warp chaining, like warp dancing chaining, like he just turns off the warping. So like Catria balls and Cordelia balls, they're very easy to shut down with him. Because then if the units can't warp, you can just pick stuff off one by one.
Yeah, exactly. And then like even like the guidance for dancers and stuff, like he just turns all of it off, which is really it's really nice. And I think my biggest problem with him before, like he offered like good support, but like there was supports that were better. But at this point now, like he has the full package. So I'm very glad that there's a really solid reason to use him now.
Yeah, like really the only other thing they could have gave him was offense.
Yeah, I think that definitely.
They gave him like enough support that he's kind of just good enough.
Right. Yeah, I would have loved just to see a guaranteed follow-up attack. I know like even guaranteed follow attacks aren't the most reliable thing, but like I still would have liked to see it on him just in case.
Yeah, I mean it would have been nice, right? Yeah.
But I mean, other than that, I think like he's a very solid unit, obviously. But yeah, so that's going to be our tier list. We'd love to hear your opinions on this tier list. Where do you think we went wrong? Where would you place your units at? Like, which unit would you move up, or which unit would you move down? Do you think we got it mostly right? And also, we'd love to hear like which of the units from CYL7 are your favorite, and which ones from the new refined CYL5 are your favorites. So make sure to drop a comment down below, let me know. And of course, I had to thank Tacho for showing up. This is like a really fun annual tradition now, and like, you know, I couldn't have done this without you. Also, like, Tacho, you have been a complete monster with videos lately. You have put, I don't even know, I can't even keep track of how many videos you put out in the past month, like probably like 30 or 40. You've been on a roll. So if you haven't seen Tacho's channel, you have to go check that out. I'll leave a link down in the description down below.
All right, yeah, thanks, man. Anytime, but like, really, you got to subscribe to Oblivion, because Homeboy is holding it down, and I always give respect to the other Fate-tubers. I always point my finger in their direction. I'm just a dummy who plays a game, right? Like, I don't deserve nothing. But Oblivion, like, guys like him, Phaeology, they're putting in so much work. You guys got to definitely subscribe to them.
Definitely drop a subscribe for both of our channels. If you want the fastest info, go to Tacho. Like, I don't know how you get out so fast. It's crazy. But, yeah, so that's going to be our channel. Once again, I have to thank all my members for all their constant support. And if you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe, and drop that comment. Catch you guys all later.
All right, take care, fellas.